What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Double Coverage. We hope you're still living, loving, and breathing sport. This is Magnificent 7, Episode 6. I'm Dom with Laine from 130 Point. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, and I'm glad to be back on again.
Yes, second time in the Magnificent 7 series this time around. So you're Episode 6 of a possible 7, which we're very grateful to have you on. As well, just off the top of the show, I'm flying solo. First time I've flown solo here, doing an interview. Yep. Saucy was a late apology. He apologizes to everyone, but he trusted me to run this. I don't know why, but he has. It is dangerous. Laine's probably going to keep me on the straight and narrow, I reckon. So thank you once again for your time, and we do appreciate it. We'll get straight into it. What's 130 Point, and how did you create it?
Yeah, so 130 Point, I guess, is my explanation for it is it's a resource for collectors. It's something that was, it came about and has kind of gone through a few iterations over its time. It really started off being an information resource was my first initial thought process that went into it. I think I told this on last time we spoke, and for those who didn't catch it, I'll just sort of go over the high points. But it really started off originally as my thought process was a redemption website where you could go and look up redemptions that had actually been fulfilled by Panini. So when I got into the hobby back in sort of 2015, usual story, the whole, you get back into the hobby when you're a bit older. I found that it was really hard to sort of understand with those redemption cards whether or not they'd been fulfilled or not. So was it worth even buying one, or if you had one, were you actually going to get the card? My initial process was, all right, I'll set up this resource that people can use to go and jump on and have a look and see if these redemptions that Panini send out, which we all love and hate, have actually been fulfilled. And sure enough, I couldn't find anything out there that kind of sort of brought all those Excel spreadsheets that Panini released together, and there wasn't anything like that out there. And I thought, let's give this a crack. I sort of had a bit of a passion that I wanted to learn coding, particularly website coding, and I sort of joined the two together. I had that a bit of passion with the hobby and this desire to put this website together. So I sort of started slow, sort of learn everything myself through literally learnt coding through Google. It is possible. Google, YouTube videos, all that sort of stuff. You can do it. It takes a bit of time, but yeah. So I just developed it through that. Sort of first iterations were really basic, and I kind of wish I had screenshots of them these days, because it's kind of like looking back at like Netscape Navigator in the 90s. You look at it and you go, oh wow, that was pretty rudimentary and very basic, but it was sort of just the building blocks to the next step. And at the time, I thought, all right, well, what's next for this? I chatted to a few people like Grayson at Cherry. He was really good, giving me some advice on where the website should probably go and what collectors are more likely going to want to look at. So that was where it sort of evolved into the next step was the checklists. So I spent a lot of time plowing through all those Panini checklists and making sure the formats are right and getting them all uploaded onto the website. So predominantly started with basketball, got all the basketball checklists up, and then from there sort of branched out, put up all the Panini NFL ones and soccer that they had from and old historical NFL ones that they were pretty far back actually. And that was kind of, I got to that point where I was just going through the motions of putting all the checklists up, and it can become quite, I guess I call it mandrolic, but it's quite a manual effort to do that. So I did a lot of process to automate a lot of the back end of it. But then I realized like what else do we all want? And like by that time I was quite heavy into collecting, and I was finding it a little bit difficult on some of the sites that we go to find pricing. So at the time it was Sorts of, Card Snoop were the kind of two ones that people were using. Another website called priceguide.cards that I found quite useful. And that was giving sort of, what are the comps? What are the eBay comps? You obviously had eBay you could use, but I was sort of looking at it going, it's not really laid out the way I'd like it. A few things might be missing from where I wanted it to be. So I just took that as the sort of the next step, and the next challenge was to implement the eBay sales data side of things. I didn't really expect at the time that would be the thing that sort of drove the website. And I think that's what a lot of people find with these endeavors where they go down developing things or products or whatever it might be, that sometimes the thing that you think won't sell or won't work is the thing that everybody jumps on. And for me, it just so happened that over the years, with sort of eBay cutting access to data or other websites not updating their code and things just not working as well, that the eBay sold pricing and the for sale side of stuff became really, the main source of traffic on the site. So nowadays everybody really, sort of jumps on the site. We get, a lot of page views per day, really just focusing on sales data and other items for sale on eBay. So, yeah, huge amount of our traffic, probably 80% of our traffic is directly to that sales page, where people go and check what prices their cards might be worth, if they're looking to sell, if they're looking to buy. And I guess the thing that still differentiates us from a lot of the other sites that might be doing this is that we can show the best offer accepted on eBay. So that's the key thing that people like to see is, some guy might have listed his, Trae Young Silver Prism for $10,000, the PSA $10,000 or best offer, and it actually sells for maybe $2,000. If we don't show that best offer accepted price, then people get this sort of warped sense of what pricing might be for the card. So, if it says eBay at the moment says $10,000 with a line through it, it's kind of a guessing game. You can look at other resources that eBay offer, which usually you have to pay for, or it's built into the back end of their systems. But yeah, it allows this free resource for people, and that's another key, I guess, thing that we try and do is make sure the resource is free. I want people to be able to use it, but not have to pay for it, because the whole point is that they should be able to access it, get the data they want, and not be forced to pay a membership fee or anything like that. Which does mean we have to throw a few ads up, but we try and keep that minimal just to make sure that we can cover, server hosting fees and data storage fees and all those sorts of things that go with sort of running a website.
Definitely. So, yeah, it is one of the most widely used tools throughout the hobby, and that is not just nationally, that is globally. And it's something that you should be very proud of yourself, creating it from where it's come to where it is today, which is fantastic. One question which I didn't word you up on this, I was just thinking of it as you were talking about the hits on the site. Have you seen a reduction in numbers of visits for card sales on the site since like the hobby started to decline in popularity, as people are saying? So it's just, I'm wondering, just on the metrics and stuff, have you noticed that, or it's still consistent to what it was about a year ago?
Look, no, there's no doubt. Like a year ago, I'm just looking at the data in front of me here. We look back to sort of the real peak was January, February, and even into March. That was kind of when the real traffic peak was. Not long after that, it did drop off, but it has been quite consistent in terms of the traffic since April. It goes up and down. It sort of fluctuates month to month. Get a little bit of a lull in the off season when people sort of go and maybe do other things, or particularly NBA season, I've noticed. But then as soon as NFL kicked off again, it really, traffic really bumped up straight away. So as soon as people have that direct interest, and that's sort of, I guess, the good and bad of the market at the moment is that people are always about what's happening now a lot of the time, or not always, not everyone, sorry, but there's a good portion of the market who are what's sort of happening right here and right now, who's the hot rookie, what cards, who's playing well, all that sort of stuff, which is just natural. If games are played in front of you, then, you get a bit more interest in it. So, yeah, I think sort of mid-year after the NBA finals, things drop off a little bit for a month or so, but it's not a huge drop. Like you'd think it might be a big sort of downswing, but no, it's only, we're talking about a couple of thousand page views a month, a day really, I guess, that drop off. So it's not a huge fluctuation.
That's not too bad at all, to be honest. Some of the most recent updates to your site, care to jump into it? Some partnerships as well that you've created.
Yes, look, so the first one we managed, so we did a bit of revamp, I guess, is the first thing, is to try and speed up the way data's presented to people. So we've put out a new page. It's kind of in beta testing at the moment. If you haven't found it through the normal page, it's 130point/cards. It uses a completely new back end in order to provide the sales data to people. And what we've also for sale data, what we've also been able to do with that is to actually merge results from multiple marketplaces. So it's built to be able to add in marketplaces as we develop like partnerships with them. But at the moment, we've been really lucky enough to get on board with MySlabs. So the guys over there, they were really good working with us to set up a data access method that would allow users to search for items, and we can produce all these results really easily and integrate that into our back end. So that was a really good step in the right direction, because the hobby's not just about eBay anymore. There's sales everywhere. Like Facebook, a huge amount of sales happen on Facebook, but they're predominantly based on what the market pricing is quite often. People buy high or low depending on how they're selling and buying. But really what we wanted to do is get to the point where we're integrating as many of those marketplaces out there as we possibly can. So we are in discussions with a bunch of other marketplaces. Nothing has been finalized yet, but we do have hopefully one coming on board really soon. We're talking with the auction houses in the US as one too, because we want to make sure, we've got big auction houses out there now that are doing a lot of sales, and we're seeing a lot of results go through from auction houses. So, we're working with them as best we can to get the sold data in, but also get the items for sale presented as well. Because once again, you want to get a whole picture of what's out there. You might be looking for for me, a Devon Booker rookie card, and what's on eBay isn't all that's available. You've got all those other auction houses. You've got places like ComC. You've got a myriad of places you can pick these cards up from that we want to kind of pull in together into one place, sort of centralize all that data for people to really just have a bit of a one-stop shop, rather than sort of having to bounce around different places all the time. And for us, we think that means that it can drive people out and buy these cards. It'll help the market because they'll have access and visibility to a whole bunch of things they didn't before. And really just, sort of open things up for people where they might think, oh, I didn't realize that, XYZ auctions in the US was selling, that rookie card that I'm interested in. I've been looking for that for a year and I haven't found it. Now I know it's there. Like it's just really hard. Like myself, I don't have time to go and search every, auction house or ComC, and
it's crazy.
So
there's so many. Like you said, there is just so many at the moment. And like you said, between marketplaces and auction houses, it can get a bit overwhelming for a collector trying to search for something. If that was to go ahead, that future update, say in a year's time, hypothetically speaking, when you went to go type in the certain card yourself, would be like Devon Booker, as you mentioned, would it come up on your interface? Would you like it to be all the listings for the recently sold Booker card, but then it'd have like the logo from the company that it was sold at, and then in order of obviously date?
Yeah, so at the moment we already have that for the currently the beta website, which probably in about a month or so we're going to replace the existing page. So the URL that everybody goes to will actually show this new page. So at the moment you search in whatever you want to search for, and it'll actually show eBay or MySlabs. So we've already got it set up and built to just be able to add on these other marketplaces as we gain access to data. And then, it'll just be a case of there'll be a whole list of sales, and it'll just have, MySlabs, eBay, auction house, whatever, all these different locations as best we can get. And I think it's more about momentum. I think once we get to the point where we get enough of these people on board, then I think some of the other ones will start to realize the benefit towards them, or they'll get, hopefully, I'd like to think they're going to get left behind. But, that's their choice, not mine. I just want to do what I can to sort of build the relationships and get those, different integrations implemented onto the website so as everybody out there can get the data they want.
I like it. I was going to ask you future updates, what we can look forward to, but you've pretty much nailed it there. Is there anything else that you want to bring to the platform outside of like that myriad of different places that sell the cards?
There's a lot I want to do, and look, next year hopefully for me will be a lot more productive in that sense, because I'm doing a bit of a transition with work side of things, and I'll have more time to actually spend on the website and other business ventures. So moving into next year, I've got a few ideas in terms of what I want to add to it. There's obviously all these different marketplaces is sort of high priority. Just other things though, like having some, for those people out there, I'm a data nerd. It should be obvious, with the website I run, but also, my background's aerospace engineering. So we're all about data and sort of, I've done a lot of work over my time associated with, data collation and analysis and so forth. So for me, having some sort of like market trends page where people can go and look at certain trends, like, how many eBay sales today, or how many total sales across all those platforms that we look at today. You can drill down into the players, like how many sales per player, all those sorts of things that people can use to really increase their knowledge, look at trends. There's plenty of other people out there. When you look at those other platforms that, paid platforms that have these sort of, market trend indicators built into them, all those sorts of things are things we can also do but hopefully offer them to people for free. So we kind of want to just expand that, I guess, data that we've now got access to in a lot more. The format we have the data in is a lot easier to sort of, manipulate, and interrogate, and analyze, and show people sort of the things they want to see, and then give them the customization of the data, let them build things they want to build. So yeah, look, that'll be really good if I can sort of implement some things in the new year that actually allow people to sort of go in there and have a bit of a play and look at things they want to look at. And
I like that.
I guess the sky's the limit with that sort of thing.
That'd be awesome. Just imagine that free tool, get all the data. It'd be amazing. Honestly, wish you all the best with that. To be honest, you're doing, as I said before, you're doing a fantastic job, and I know a lot of people in the hobby really appreciate the service that you give at 130 points. So, well done on that front.
Yeah, cheers. And look, another thing we're working on too that people have been asking me for forever. So we're working through actually building a mobile application as well. That'll be, I guess, a building block sort of approach to that one. We'll be starting with just sort of focusing on people being able to search for, for sale, sold items like people mostly do on the website already, but we'll be working more towards adding other things into it. Like the first sort of other component we're adding is like a collection component to it, where you can upload your cards. You can put some details in there for your cards. You can search them. You can share them directly from there to social media. There's all those sorts of elements that are being built into it. It'll all come down to cost, though. We've sort of gone through the prototyping phase, but the real costs come when you actually put it into production. So, we're close with that one. I'm hoping that too can be something that maybe early next year, if the pricing, in terms of what the developers are looking at, are going to, be, I can handle it. Then that'll be something we'll look to try and push on in the new year.
Awesome. You are a very busy man. You don't just work with 130 point. So you do you do bulk subs as well. So first and foremost, you run PSA bulk sub here in Australia, in Victoria. Question to you is, have you had any updates from PSA regarding their service levels? The other thing is, are you sending cards currently at what service level? So you can plug your bulk sub here, mate.
Yeah, definitely. No, we are still running and still going pretty strong. We've just finished sending off this week the most recent PSA submission. So there is a lot of them that are still shut down. We've got at the moment open the under 2,500 US category. That's the lowest category. So that might not sound low, but that is the lowest they've got open at the moment. Whilst they're trying to still clear out that backlog from, we were talking over 12, 18 months ago that it really started kicking off. So they're sort of caught up now, I guess, through into January of this year for under 500s. That's what they're processing at the moment. Under 100 categories, they're still pushing, this is PSA, they're still pushing through in sort of the October, November region for catch-up. So they're over a year behind on those still. And I guess just to temper expectations of people out there in terms of what might open up when, we've heard a bit from Nat Turner, with some him saying some things, but at the end of the day, until the actual business side of things makes a statement, nothing's really set in stone. So we still haven't, despite my constant prodding of my rep, who I think is getting sick of me asking. I've been asking him, when's the under 1,000 coming back at least, and we've heard that it should be, December, i.e. sort of, now. I'm hopeful that we'll get an announcement in the next few days, but I've had no indication from my rep that is coming. He's just told me, be patient, good things come to those who wait. But like all of us collectors, I've got cards sitting in my cupboard over here that I want to send. So, I myself want them out, let alone all the other people in the, the submission group and across, Australia who want to send cards and across the world even. So no, unfortunately, I don't have any, hot goss or any, clear indication of exactly when they're going to reopen certain categories. But they're going to do it. They've said they're going to do it. It's, they're a business at the end of the day. They're going to start slowly opening things up again. And I wouldn't be surprised within 6 months we've at least got under 500s back up and running, and then we're moving towards a cheaper sub, whether it be under 100, under 200. Whether they don't bother with those again, then they just go, you can have under 500s at a certain price and at under 500 slow. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Do you have concerns potentially when those levels do return on as a bulk subby yourself, if you that you're going to get high traffic flow coming in with a humongous amount of cards being submitted. So if that's just you personally, globally, what happened? Like, are you worried that the backlog could slowly creep back up again?
I think what they will do, and this sort of just, it's, I guess, in a lot of ways, business 101, is they'll introduce these things back in, but the price point will be higher to start with. Having that slightly elevated price point, and that's what they did with the under 2500s originally, and now that they've sort of caught up, they've brought it back down a bit. But I think the pricing that they'll bring back in will be more reflective of sort of where it was when it stopped for the under 1000s. So by keeping the price a bit higher, it will sort of make people think twice about some of the cards they might want to send in those submissions, just because it's sort of not cost effective. Even if you've got a 10, you're paying $150, $200 or whatever it might end up being Australian for a card to get sent off to get graded. Comes back and you might be able to make $50 on it. Well, fine if you're happy with that. Or if you're just doing it for PC, do you want to spend that much money on a card for your PC? Like, I've got cards sitting here that I want slabbed, but I don't for PC, but I don't want to send them at the current prices. So I'm just holding off. So I think there's going to be a little bit of sort of working that fine balance between price point and the number of cards coming in that they're just going to have to kind of keep an eye on. And it'll be staged. So the under thousands will come back. They make sure that they've got on top of them, and then they'll bring in the next one after that. So, look, I think they've learnt their lesson in some ways, but who knows? Like, people might just absolutely swamp them with Lamello-based prisms at the under 1,000 category as soon as it opens. So it's really hard to sort of judge until they open the gate and see what happens. But
that's exactly
they might
right.
also put in other things. There's other ways they can implement restrictions, like saying a maximum of this number of cards per submission, or all those sorts of other elements that they can try and look at implementing if they feel that it's getting out of hand again.
Definitely. You're not only beholden to PSA with the bulk sub, you actually do an SGC as well. So, as I said, he's a very, very busy person. How has the submissions been with SGC? Because the PSA being limited with their certain levels of service, has there been massive uptake with the service provided with SGC?
I wouldn't say massive, but we had definitely a good submission this month. So we sent off our first sub about 2 weeks ago. It finished up, and we had a good turnout. We probably had close to 100 cards in that one, which isn't bad for our first submission that we've done as a group sub. A lot of people are still sort of not sure about SGC. They don't quite see where it fits in sort of the whole scheme of things. And to be honest, a lot of people aren't that keen on their slabs necessarily. Like, that, it's like everything. We all have our preferred slab design, look, how our cards look in one slab versus others. Me personally, I don't mind sort of all of the different slabs, but SGC themselves are probably in a lot of cases for modern cards the number 3 out there. For vintage cards, they're actually probably up 1 or 2. They're actually, for vintage cards, they're exceptionally well regarded. And I guess that just goes to show with the most expensive card ever sold is an SGC slab. So you've got to look at them and sort of realize that they really are a big company in terms of being able to provide value to customers. And we wanted to provide people with that opportunity for that sort of lower end-ish kind of submission. So yeah, we found we got a lot of good cards coming through, some really nice ones, and we're really interested just to see how that goes. A lot of people were quite keen and interested. A few people just did it as a test, so they might have sent 1 or 2 cards first time around just to sort of test the whole process out, see what it looks like, see how their cards grade. So yeah, I'll be interested to see with the next sub if it sort of stays the same, increases, decreases. We'll just sort of adjust as we go, but. Yeah, we've got a good setup. We can send, if we get 10 cards, we can send them. It's not really
easy. That's good.
Yeah, we've got because of all the work we've done over the years with FedEx and all the sort of we understand customs. We build our pricing around having to pay for postage, GST, tax, import duties, all those things. So it means that people can still send regardless of how many cards we get, which is key, because it's really difficult for a lot of people who want to send in cards in certain categories, particularly the PSA. We get a lot of cards that come in. We might get 1 card in a category. So, for example, card grade auto authentication 5,000. There's every combination under the sun with those categories. So we're lucky too. It works for SGC that we can send a small submission, a big submission, either or. It's fine by us. We'll just get them out there and hopefully get some people back some nice grades for their cards, and they can either keep them, sell them, and it all feeds back into the market here and globally. So I think it's just another step in the right direction for us all.
Definitely. It definitely is. And I think it's one of those things where, as you did mention, we shouldn't be beholden really to one grading company. Like you said, SGC definitely with the vintage, they've got the most expensive card ever is an SGC slab. So for people to value something like that with the card, but also their grading on the card, I don't understand why they're not more widely used, I would say, within the hobby. I think it's more that whole thing it's just PSA is the value, and a lot of people look at that, and it's making it tough on a few other grading companies to try and really break through and put their stamp on the hobby. Yeah,
and look, you're right. It comes down to, at the end of the day, it comes to what do customers, what are collectors, what's everybody out there looking for, what are they paying more for? You say a PSA 10, it outsells a BGS 9.5, pretty much all the time in most cases. But realistically, if you actually read the word, they're both gem mint. Like it's just, that's the market has decided that PSA 10s have been set in most cases above BGS 9.5s, and SGC 10s sit in there as well, and SGC 9.5s sort of fall somewhere just below. Like it's sort of every card's different as well sometimes. So in reality, it's good that we've got these, we don't have that, monopoly. We don't just have a duopoly. We have at least 3 big companies that have got some market share. And then we've got some of the other companies coming up like HGA and a few of the other ones that are sort of trying to build up that following and that backing. And look, competition's good at the end of the day. It makes the other companies try and work a bit harder in most cases. And for companies, I guess, like PSA, when they've got so much backlog that they've got to work harder, they've got to make things better, they've got to make it more efficient. But it also means there's other companies like SGC can sort of get, can jump in and actually fill some of those voids that are there. So, that was sort of our thinking was, people are really after a bit of a lower end or something different. Let's start with this under 1,500 category at a more reasonable price for people, and then we're going to build on that. So the next submission, we're going to let people put in under 1,500. I think the next one above that's 3,500, and then there's a few more tiers above that. So we're going to open up all those categories. But for us, it was really that first one was just a tester for us too. So
that's
how
awesome.
can we get all those cards out, and it was pretty smooth, which was good. So
that's great. That's awesome. Great to hear. And predominantly the cards being sent in to SGC, was it NBA? I know soccer is massive with SGC. The link there is, it's probably one of the most popular grading companies when it comes to soccer cards. So just interested to know what types of cards were being sent into you.
We had a bit of everything. We definitely had soccer. A fair few soccer cards went through. We had baseball. We had a fair bit of Prism, like Anthony Edwards, Glamello rookies. We had some old, 87, 88 Fleer, Michael Jordan sent. Lucas. We even had this one I thought was cool, was a 1990 Impel Marvel Universe Venom card, which was a pretty cool card to see from, back in the 90s, sort of when those sort of first came out, those real, original, I guess, Marvel cards that, people sort of jumped on a little bit then, but most of them are pretty shot now in terms of condition when they were thrown around in boxes and everything. So there was a good sort of spread and across the eras too. We didn't really get any vintage as such, like nothing in the below that sort of 80s era, but there's definitely a lot of good cards sent that were. I guess that's the thing with SGC. You've got to look at the card. You've got to sort of do a bit of research because not every card makes sense to go to SGC.
100%.
You wouldn't send all your base Prism of sort of lesser names. They're not going to, even as a 10, you're not going to get a huge return on investment for your $55 grading fee, which is what we charge. So yeah, you've got to kind of weigh up what's my potential return on investment on this card. If I send it and I pay my $55, if it's not for my PC and I want to sort of sell it, then there's a bit of thinking to be done there for a lot of people to sort of decide whether or not it's really worth sending certain cards.
Definitely. All right, let's get into some hobby chat here regarding yourself personally. What have you been collecting recently?
Look, I'm a sucker for soccer and F1. So
I did not know that about you, to be honest, because we discussed last time a lot of basketball. Obviously, Devin Booker is your PC. So I'm keen to hear here what you've been collecting in the soccer front.
Yeah, look,
and,
I really enjoy, for me, opening soccer boxes. I love sort of opening the products, particularly because you get the spread. You've got the tops, you've got the Panini stuff. I'm a big fan of. I still love Topps Chrome. I never experienced the Topps Chrome era when it was actually out, being released. So I came, 2015 when I came back in, Topps was obviously, not around for anything but baseball really, and a little bit of NFL floating around as well still back then. So yeah, I'm a big fan for stuff like Topps Chrome, Topps Finest. So I've been opening a bit of the Champions League stuff, which has been nice. Haven't really hit anything big in those, but a lot of good rookies. So I found things like products like Topps Finest, UCL, so Champions League. That is absolutely stacked with rookies. Like just rookies you get packs where it's just rookies. It's fantastic. So for a value product, I think something like Topps Finest is a really good one. Fun to rip. You get 2 autos per box. And you can get some really good autos in there if you're lucky, but you might just get a bunch of sort of lesser known rookie autos, and who knows? 2 years time, those guys could be huge. We've got World Cup next year. All it takes is one of those guys breaking out. You've got a mega card on your hands. So and opened a bit of Chronicles soccer as well. I've got a bit of that sitting around. So was very lucky and hit a Ronaldo auto to 74. Having in my time, I've been lucky. I've hit a couple of Ronaldo autos.
That's nice.
I remember, I think it was back in 2016-17 Donruss soccer. I rolled into Cherry one day in the afternoon and chatting to Grayson. And he goes, "Oh, I've just cracked open a case of Donruss soccer over there." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, how much?" And I think at the time it was like $50 or $60 a box. It was like absolutely nothing. So I just wandered over and grabbed a box, ripped it open. First time I'd ever opened a soccer box, I think. This is when Lucky Laine came out, and he happened to pull the Gareth Bale and Cristiano Ronaldo dual auto. It was numbered to 75, I think. So, that was that sort of really hooked me into soccer. Beautiful product, that one. It was, a lot of the base cards were just rubbish Donruss, but it was the beautiful game auto, I think it was called.
Remember what Laine just said as well there, ladies and gents. He said he bought the Donruss box for $50 to $60.
Yeah. Yeah, no joke. That was when soccer was sort of new products from Panini, and I remember when Flawless Soccer came out, and I think it was $1,000 a box first off the line or something like that from Panini, and everybody was like, "You got to be joking! Who's going to buy that?" Ridiculous. And they had like these 1.5-inch thick cards in slabs in them, which had like Ronaldo cleats in them and all this. It was absolutely loaded. And at the time, it was like, that's just insane. Who's going to buy that product? And now you look back on it and you're like, that was a phenomenal product. It was just absolutely loaded with insane cards. And these days, I don't even know if you could find a sealed case of it. So, but no, definitely bit of a fan of the soccer cards. Every time I open them, I look at the names and murder them. But I'm learning as I go, which is great. One of the guys who works here with me, he knows it a lot better than I do. And I'm like, "Hey, this guy, is he any good?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, now going to be playing for Arsenal next year. I'm like, "Oh yes, awesome." So yeah, that's definitely something I like, is just the soccer, because it's I can learn from it. Like basketball, I still love opening basketball when I get the chance. But price is one thing; it's expensive. And two, there's a lot of all the players learning about. I'm looking forward to next season's releases, which are going to happen after All-Star break. The way we're going,
I know.
It's
incredible.
I'd like to see Panini maybe sort of rotate that around and catch up a bit in the coming year, but we'll see how that goes.
We've had no immaculate, flawless, or mosaic yet.
No, they're supposed to all come out in the next month.
I know.
So we've got one.
It's ridiculous.
Flawless. I'll be very surprised if we see that, because I'm trying to find another card like this one.
Oh, here we go. Steph Curry.
My Steph Curry, flawless green, 5 of 5. Thanks to Matt Harper and old Nebby Ben Selga for that one. That was a late night break special. That one from probably about 2 years ago now. I think I paid $300 for Golden State Warriors in a whole case of flawless.
Wow,
they were the golden days. Even then, now you wouldn't get them for less than $1,000, I reckon.
Yeah, I know. It's great.
Yeah, I guess on my F1 side of things, I was lucky enough. I guess you can see it. Where's my finger? There. I managed to get hold of some Dynasty when it came out. I thought F1 when it came out, I was so excited, because I'm a big F1 fan. Being an aerospace engineer, F1 is like, where nearly every engineer wants to sort of, be if they were to do that real technical engineering. And, loved that product when it came out. Was lucky enough to get 3 boxes of it for $500 a box on pre-sale before everybody realized what it was. And in my 3, I ended up with 2 because I did order a case, but there wasn't enough of it. So I split a case with another guy, and we did a dice roll for the 3rd box. He got 3, I got 2. I ended up getting a Max Verstappen patch auto to 5, and also got this one. So I got the Iceman, 1 of 1.
Oh, you're kidding.
Dual patch auto. So that one there is staying in my PC until I either die and my kids sell it, or I'm so broke I need money.
That's incredible. That's awesome.
So yeah, I was just, been watching F1 since, he started. So being able to hit a card like that for a guy who's, finishing up this year, I was pretty happy. I sold the Max Verstappen too early though.
Yeah.
Sold that earlier. It was last year, yeah. Should have held it.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Probably. You probably should have. It's good to actually be able to discuss F1. You definitely know the rookies. You definitely know, as in the young drivers, up and comers, legends that are still out on the track. Well, future legends and Hall of Famers. Who are you looking at? I see that you got Topps Chrome F1 as well there behind you.
Right.
So
that's right there.
Who are you looking at from that product to collect, really? Are you looking at and some of the vets as well in that product to collect?
Yeah, look, I've got a Danny Ricciardo gold refractor. I wanted an auto of his, but I got priced out. I left it too late to try and buy one of them. So I'm just picking up him because being an Aussie, I'm just going to collect the Aussie guy. But a bit hard to find some of his stuff reasonably cheap now. It's sort of all shot up with everyone else's. The old accordion effect, the Hamiltons shoot out to the one side, so everybody else follows. George Russell, I'm so excited to see him in a Mercedes next year. I think possibly his rookie cards are expensive already, but I don't think they're as expensive as they're going to be if he can perform in that car. So they could potentially be still a good buy right now. They're not cheap already, but they could be a good buy. And obviously the Max Verstappen cards. They're not rookie cards of his, but it's a rookie product. There is no Max Verstappen rookie cards, so they are the closest thing to a rookie of his. So I was lucky enough to pick up a sapphire blue of him the other day.
Yeah.
Which hopefully, the guy I was chatting to, who's a well-known guy in the hobby, he, and I trust him. He said it's in pretty decent nick, and he was considering grading it himself, but he's just, got to buy a house and things like that. So he's trying to sell off some of his stock. And look, I'm really looking forward to maybe even 2 years' time because I want to see Oscar Piastri in there. So the next Aussie coming through, he'll be AlphaTauri's driver probably in 2 years' time, hopefully, if all goes well. And I'm really looking forward to the Topps Chrome release when that comes out. I'll probably go pretty hard on trying to get some of his cards. This year's one, I've got a bit of that coming, so hopefully at least a few of his cards are floating around on the market for his F2, which would be good, just a few of them. But, definitely looking for that F1 card as well when they come out. So, yeah. Yep.
Do you think this product, I know it's been run up like crazy in terms of the price of a Topps Chrome F1 box. Do you think this product holds and potentially goes higher once people realize that next year's product
Yeah.
isn't going to have the rookies that this product had.
Yeah, quite possibly. Look, I think I've still got 4 boxes of it, maybe 5 boxes of it sitting in the cupboard. And I've even got a sneaky box of Dynasty sitting in there as well, just to hold. As a bit of a, either one day I lose my mind and open them, in which case I should probably do it live so people can laugh at me. Or, as an investment, because I got them for a good price. I think worst case I open them, so be it. I've opened plenty of them already. But I think they could potentially be, the Dynasty is going to be like potentially the exquisite of F1. So we're talking, you're talking like a 10-year time frame. If F1 continues to grow, continue its popularity, its collectability keeps there, because we've got great drivers coming in. We don't end up with Lewis Hamilton winning every championship between now and 2030. As long as we have that competition, we have some excitement in there, which is what the F1's doing a really good job of doing at the moment, is sort of bringing the driver skill into play a bit more in the future regulations. So I think that will also help to give more people to try and collect, because it might give a chance that maybe a rookie can actually win a race in his first season, because the cards are a little bit more of an even playing field. It's not the team with the most money who wins. So
correct.
It'd be really interesting to see how the next couple of years go, where the actual sport itself then impacts on the collectability of the cards. So I think, though, these early first releases are always something that's worth holding on to. Prices go up, prices might go down, but either way, I think it's a good product. There's scarce, autos are scarce. They're not every box. There's only 5, maybe 4 or 5 per case. Things like that make those products, I think, long term hold value. So I'm confident, but I've been wrong before, don't worry. So,
well, so have I can assure you of that. The other one to look out for, he finished second in F3, is Jack Doohan. Another Aussie coming up. He'll be in F2 next season, which is fantastic. The other one, I've given this guy as a play about 1 million times when it comes to F1s, because of obviously the equalisation with the cars next year. But just watch out for Charles Leclair. What he's been able to do in that Ferrari the last 2 seasons in a car that's completely underachieved has been pretty remarkable. So, and he's still young, super talent.
I think Lando Norris is another one too that could perform.
Definitely.
Quite, like, he's got the skills. He just needs that next level of car sort of evolution and progress. So another guy too that even now, like, Lando Norris cards are pretty reasonable.
The horizontal 180 card where he's drinking out of the water bottle, that's a sick card.
There's a few good cards in that set. I quite like them.
It really is. They've done a super job. And I forgot to ask you on the soccer front, who are you collecting? Could be rookie. Ronaldo could just be pure Ronaldo collector.
I guess my collections these days are more. I try to go, like, when I started, I guess going back, when I started, I collected everything. Like, I was being a Phoenix Suns fan. I was just getting base rookie cards of Tyler Eulis and Marquise Chris and Dragon Bender and all these guys that don't even play for the team anymore. They never really looked like they were going to pan out from day dot. And I just started snapping up everything. So I've got like boxes of just cards sitting that really, don't hold value, and I don't really have a connection to them anymore. So now I kind of focus more on sort of being a bit more discreet about the players and cards and making sure I have a connection to them in some way. I've really narrowed down my PC in a lot of ways to sort of revolve around that. So for me, in the soccer space, I'm not trying to go hard on necessarily players. I want to sort of build a collection of, icons, some rookies that I actually don't mind, and happy to sort of keep a card or 2 of. So, I got my Ronaldo card the other day. I was happy with that. I'll probably hold on to it. I don't have any Messi cards as yet, but I'll try and rectify that at some point. I nearly bought one of the lost rookies the other day that a guy in Aussie was selling, but I balked on it at the end, which he ended up sending off for grading with me. So I might regret that decision very soon when it comes back. But I've also got like a bit of a connection through, grandfather to Chelsea. Like he came over, an expat, moved over here, and he's a huge Chelsea fan. So I always have a bit of a soft spot for Chelsea. So Mason Mount, I was lucky enough to hit in, was it Select Euro last year? I hit his autograph numbered to 3 out of one of the boxes. I think I busted a case of that stuff. Some absolute howlers of boxes in there. Like, it was some garbage, but I did manage to hit a couple of all right cards, and that was one of them. Unfortunately, it was completely cooked. It was, damage all over the place, corners bent. So it's back with Panini at the moment, and it's been there now for over a year. I'm just hopeful that I can get it back or a replacement of his card. So I'm still emailing him regularly, trying to get that card or something back. So a couple of those sorts of things, and a few of the rookies like Bellingham, Makoko, Kamavinga. So I've got a couple of their cards sitting in the cupboard ready to go off to grading when the under 1000s kick off again from Topps Chrome and Topps Finest. So they're sort of a few of my targets at the moment, but it's a small PC so far. I'm starting small. I don't want to go too crazy too early.
That's fine. No, I like it. You've got some good names in there. Some very good names. You've also got another box behind you that I can see, and it's an exquisite box. So I have to ask about it.
Yes. So a bit of a story behind that one. There's a guy who's in our PSA grading group, and he just popped up one day with this post saying, like, showing some boxes he had at home in his drawers, and he'd had them sitting there for years. And everybody was like, holy, crap, you've got this exquisite box. And he's like, oh, yeah, I just opened that, or something along those lines. I can't remember the full details, but he had this box that had been sitting in his drawer for nearly a decade. And a few other things like the Topps Chrome, I think, were in there as well. And we're all just like, whoa. And he busted it open, got a few nice cards out of it. The best one he was kind enough to sell to me, which was very nice of him. I don't really, one sort of, I guess, all-time great I don't have many cards of is Jordan. And I couldn't think of a better way to add something into my PC than a Jordan exquisite card. Now, it's not an auto, because there's no way on earth I could ever afford a Jordan exquisite auto. But he was lucky enough, he hit this Jordan extra exquisite mega jersey piece.
Let's see if I can switch it to you. Let's see. This is where I need... there we go. We just have to stick to it like this, I guess.
That's all good. So I'll try and not get the glare. There we go. It's a bit hard with the glare in the background, so that's a bit better.
That's nice.
So, he hit that one. He was happy to sell it to me he sold it to me for a pretty reasonable price. It wasn't cheap, but it was still nice. So it's number 21 of 50. You can see that. And it was in, like, for an exquisite card that's been sitting in a box for a decade plus, it was in really good condition. And I knew it wasn't going to get a 10, but I was very, very happy for it to come back as a 9. So good thing about these things is all game used. So game used on the back of there, which is always nice with the exquisite ones. And, very happy to add that one into the collection. And he was nice enough. He said, do you want the box? And I said, yes, please. Because it's the only way I was ever getting an exquisite box. Was to,
it.
To get it.
That's awesome.
Which was really good.
That's fantastic. That's great. All right, Laine, underrated card set, or product that you think is out there in the hobby?
Yeah, look, a lot of the sort of things that I spoke with last time we were on here, I was speaking about F1 being one of those products. I was right. As I said, I'm not always right, but this time around I was right. It was just before the National. Once the National happened, F1 cards skyrocketed. They haven't really come back down too much since then, as far as I'm aware. So, that was what I was thinking about back then. But when you look at sort of the sports marketplace at the moment, most sort of card sets and that have sort of found their place. There's a lot of things that have sort of fluctuated a bit, but most things have gained their popularity, and we've had the peak of collectors in the sort of start of this year, and therefore, card sets that wouldn't previously have been popular have risen and now dropped back down. So what I actually think in the future we're going to see, and this is kind of backed up by what I heard Josh Luber talking about when he was talking with Sports Card Nonsense a couple of weeks ago. I think that the entertainment cards is something that are actually going to start to build a lot more momentum than they already have. We've got a lot of them out there that already have momentum. So you've got a lot of the Marvel type cards and all of those comic sort of, pop culture, comic icon kind of cards that really have already sort of, blown up in the last year. When you look back at some of those Marvel Universe all the PMG kind of cards that people all jumped on in the last sort of 6 to 12 months. But also some more of the obscure entertainment stuff, the autos of all-time great actors. Some of these people who are not as much sort of sales and popularity in that market through Leaf and some of those companies that produce them, but they produce some really nice cards. And there are a few, I guess, hidden gems out there that I expect people will start to turn to as they look to, change up what they're looking for, or nostalgia, or whatever it might be. I'm blown away by some of the memorabilia that's appearing on things like Golden Auctions at the moment. Just memorabilia, let alone cards. Stuff that sort of speaks to me, like Back to the Future, autographed, posters and things like that. That was the things I watched as a kid. So I think some of those things that as people, start coming up into maybe their 30s or wherever it might be, where they're starting to get a bit more free time or money or whatever it might be, and they look back on what are the entertainment things that they loved when they were a kid, they're going to start buying up some of that. I've seen a few guys in Australia. I know Tolga is big on it. He's got a huge collection of some of these entertainment cards of Ninja Turtles and signed Ninja Turtle cards, and a lot of that sort of thing that for a lot of people, there's a lot of nostalgia in it. The cartoons you watched as a kid and potentially movies like James Bond movies and all those sorts of things that are out there. And I wouldn't mind a Harrison Ford signed Indiana Jones card. That'd be pretty cool. Let alone Star Wars and all that.
That was actually something that I gave on one of our podcasts. Now that you mentioned James Bond, and I just I love watching the films. Yeah. I'm obviously more familiar with the modern stuff than the old school films, but I have watched a fair few of them, and obviously I love Sean Connery. So that was a guy that I'm trying to secure something in that space. So, but it's like you said, it's something in your PC, something that's obviously you've experienced in your life. And it's funny that you mentioned Back to the Future. I'd love to have a sports almanac. That was one of those films. I know I was born in the 90s, but because my dad is a massive sci-fi film buff, and he showed me that trilogy when I was young, and it's probably it is my favorite trilogy ever in movies, so in cinema. So its memorabilia is really kicking off. We saw it a little bit with old alternative stuff with ticket stubs getting graded and all those type of things as well. So the world is our oyster when it comes to memorabilia. So
certainly, and I think that's part of that's going to come down to now this increased exposure on those auction sites where a lot of this stuff used to sell. Yeah, we sold a lot of stuff got sold through eBay, but I think the auction sites really do help promote some of these things that people might look at and go, oh, wow, that's cool. I wouldn't mind buying that, when they wouldn't have otherwise seen it. And I guess, this is almost full circle back to what we said at the start. We're looking, when we integrate stuff into the 130 Point website, we want to integrate the memorabilia stuff as well. I want it to be more than just cards, right? We want to integrate all those sort of collectible items that people know and love, At the moment, the new page doesn't quite cover things like comics and that, but we're going to pull that in soon as well. So, there's a bit of everything out there. The only thing I'm not really keen on collecting is, graded game cartridges, but that's increasing. I've got nostalgia with that, but putting a game cartridge in a case doesn't make as much sense to me. But that's, people might say that's stupid. You put cards into plastic cases. What's the difference? But that's something too that's growing pretty big. I think it had a bit of an overspeed where it sort of took off and shot really high, really quick a couple of months ago, and as it sort of come back down. But that's definitely something that's a bit new. And now that WADA's owned by Collectors Universe, that it's going to get a bit more airplay, I think.
I saw the pop report. I think initial pop reports for some of that stuff came out during the week as well, or last week. So at least it's possible now to go and track those type of collectibles, where before it was just like, what's the pop on this, and how many people have actually used this service? And now you can look into it a bit more, which is good.
Yeah.
All right. Lucky last question for Lucky Laine. Favorite card in your collection?
Yeah, fair enough. It's essentially two cards, but it's the same card twice. So Devin Booker is obviously, I've got a lot of connection to sort of his cards and him as a player, being a Phoenix Suns fan since, late, or probably 1990, I reckon it was, or even 89. somewhere around that area. So, yep, he was the guy. I came back into the hobby. He was the rookie for the Suns. Obviously, we know what's happened since then. He's turned into an absolute star. Finals appearance last year. Suns came so close in a lot of ways. And I was lucky enough, I guess, in that year to be able to buy his rookie cards at a reasonable price. So I've had 3 of these cards in my time, but I've settled on holding on to 2. They are some of the best design cards I've ever seen. These here are the black gold, sizable signatures.
So nice.
They're on card. There's an acetate panel down the bottom here where they signed. The patches are enormous. I don't think there's a card I've seen with a rookie patch auto that is any bigger than that in terms of the patch that's on it. And it's really hard to pick up in the current light I've got here, but they have a really good hollow sort of sheen to it. You can kind of see it there.
Yeah.
So I picked one of these up from a guy here in Australia after he hit it in the break. And I think the other one I got from a guy in the US. So there's the second one there. Equally beautiful patches there. And
they
thankfully,
are enormous.
They're huge. In this set too, they actually, thankfully for the Suns, they put in the good patches, because in this year they used a lot of those white stripes you can kind of see next to the number there in a lot of the product. But these black gold ones were really good. They had great patches, phenomenal cards, and definitely one of my all-time favorite cards. And I'm just lucky to have 2 of them now.
Nice. That's phenomenal. Honestly, I can't believe how big the patches are on those cards. It's crazy.
There was a good set. They've got Cat, Porzingis, D'Lo, Booker, and there's a bunch of guys in that too that are still in the NBA that weren't necessarily as big as those guys, but even Frank Kaminsky's in there. Norman Powell. There's that 15-16 rookie class is actually one of the better classes we've had in many years, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah, there was a good set. There's a guy in Australia, I think it's Michael Van Houten. He's actually I think he's got the whole set of these. I can't remember if he finished it or not. There was 2 cards he needed. One of them was Cat. Cat's auto's all smudged off in nearly all of his ones. So I think it's very hard to find one of his with a decent auto, because I think he signed it and then he put the other card straight on top of it. And the gold medal, so his auto's on the back of the other card. So, but no, one of my favourite sets, that one, in a long time.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much once again for jumping on and giving us your time. This is a perfect opportunity. We are going to put all your information in the description when this drops, but where can we find you?
Main one for the 130-point side of things. We've got Instagram if you want to see some of the the data we put up. But 130point.com is the website. If you're looking for sold data, 130point.com/sales. If you're looking for PSA grading, our website here in Australia is thehobby.com.au. And on that, you'll find a whole bunch of information about PSA SGC grading. We've also got stacks of product on there now as well. We've got over 3,000 singles listed. You can send us offers as well. With so many singles listed, our prices are high. The intent is that I don't want to go in there every day and change the pricing if some dude's cards go up or down. So throw us an offer. You can do that through there or through eBay. And you can also find a lot of information for the grading on our Facebook group, which is currently PSA Submissions Australia. So if you look that up, there's over 5,000 people in that group now, and a whole bunch of really good collectors who know a heap of stuff more than I do. So if you have a question about a card, want to know something about it, whether it's worth grading, all that sort of stuff, jump in the group. By all means, post something, and you'll get some good responses from some really knowledgeable people.
Beautiful. Thank you once again on behalf of myself and the great man Laine from 130 Point. Keep living, loving, and breathing sport. It's double coverage. And peace.
Thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to leave a review on the Apple Podcasting app. Also, follow us on socials, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Talking all sports, double coverage.